Firearms may not be discharged solely to disable moving vehicles. Specifically, firearms may not be discharged at a moving vehicle unless, one, a person in the vehicle is threatening the officer or another person with deadly force by means other than the vehicle, or two, the vehicle is operated in a manner that threatens to cause death or serious physical injury to the officers or others, and no other objectively reasonable means of defense appear to exist. That is another fucking huge part, because I'm sure what you'll see is people reading this part only. The vehicle operated in a manner that threatens to cause death or serious physical injury to the officers or others, right? They'll probably read that part to you a lot on the right, right? But they won't read this next part. And no, but what has to be stipulated is that no other reasonable objective means of defense appear to exist. And in this case, what we saw was A, the guy was filming instead of moving his ass to the fucking side of the vehicle with the rest of his people. And then B, even when he did fucking open fire, even when he could see that the woman was clearly spinning the steering wheel to an opposite direction of where he was standing, right? Because if he's standing in front of the lady, he should be able to witness. And a lot of people are like, well, he can't see the fucking wheels. Well, if he doesn't have to see the wheels, what he can see is the lady in the fucking driver's seat clearly doing this with the steering wheel, right? And if he's here and she's moving the steering wheel this way, then guess what? One could probably reasonably assume that she's not going after him as a target, right? Which is clearly shown by where he ends up opening fire on the first shot, and his 2 feet are clearly fucking planted firmly to the side of the vehicle, thus determined by the bullet hole in the windshield, and then continued to fire 2 more through the side of the fucking vehicle, through the window, the driver's side window of the vehicle. So to state that there was no other objectively reasonable means of defense or ability to get yourself out of whatever path, and it says here, which includes moving out of the path of the vehicle. Let me get out of the way because this is fucking important. I want you guys to see this, right? I want you guys to see this. And I know, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like we're doing good work here just by bringing this up by itself, right? So you have to be able to show a reasonable, objectable fucking means that you had no other way to get out of that situation, which is just not a fucking provable thing in this instance that we saw in this specific case in Minneapolis. It's not. Firearms may not be discharged from a moving vehicle except in exigent circumstances. In these situations, an officer must have an articulable reason for this use of deadly force, right? But this is the main part. Serious physical injury to the officer and others, but no other objectively reasonable means of defense appear to exist, which includes moving out of the path of the vehicle.